Hey, this is the Nature Boy Ric Flair, and believe it or not, whether you like it or don't like it, learn to love it, because you have to listen to Wrestling is Real. It is the best thing going today. Woo!
The worldwide leader of podcasting excellence, the king of podcasts radio network proudly presents the Wrestling is Real podcast, because wrestling needs us.
Welcome to episode 774 of the Wrestling is Real podcast. This is King of Podcasts, joining you once again for another great program, and we do have to start on a bit of a somber note with the passing of the Iron Sheik. We'll talk about that on the program. Among other things, we have to go and just talk about regular business, the business that is professional wrestling, and I got a few things to get into when it comes to what WWE, AEW are doing right now ongoing in their TV setup for upcoming pay-per-views. So AEW doing their part to get the Forbidden Door pay-per-view all set to go. Getting Collision, their debut of their new Saturday night show. A new 2-hour series that's going to really just change the lexicon of professional wrestling altogether. And then then we also got to talk about some of the pay-per-views that are coming up on the independents. So you got Impact Wrestling doing Against All Odds this weekend. And then you have, in next month, I'm going to start bringing it up a little bit more, MLW coming back to pay-per-view with Never Say Never. So good stuff coming up. And I'm looking forward to all that. So let's go and get into it. First of all, WrestlingIsReal.com is the website. Everything you got to go and find out with the program, all the past episodes, going back to 2013. There's other episodes I have, but I've never got a chance to go back to the archives. Someday I'm actually going to go back, get them retrieved. I mean, I got the laptop. I could do it, but I don't know if it's going to be that easy for me to go and get the laptop, open it up, get the hard drive, and get it converted. That's the only thing I'm kind of worried about. But eventually, I'm going to go and take the old shows, I will get them, and I will bring them over. Eventually. If that's something you want me to do, then please email me, kingofpodcasts@yahoo.com. Or you know what? Send a message on YouTube under this episode in the description, in the comments, and please do that. And by the way, please do send comments on the program. I'd love to read those. Really happy I got a couple of comments to read about last week. That's why I talked about it right off the jump. And I'd love to continue to do that. So the feedback is wonderful. I'd love to keep that going. And not just because I have an episode where I bring up something good. It's after the pay-per-view with Night of Champions. Money to Make all set up. They're doing the qualifying matches right now. And, you know, everything that the Bloodline storyline is surpasses everything else. Everything. Like, it's like the A storyline, and everything else is like not even B. I mean, it's nice to know that all these different wrestlers and stars are on the program on Raw or SmackDown, but let me tell you, I mean, there is something to be said about how much night and day magnitude the Bloodline storyline has versus, say, the World Heavyweight Championship. Your diehards are going to care, but the real mainstream audience, the younger audience, anybody that really watches wrestling, the Bloodline storyline is the only thing that is going today that really matters in that company. And that's not a diss on Judgment Day, not a diss on LWO, not a diss on LA Knight or Seth Rollins. You know, anybody attached around the Bloodline storyline, yeah. It's because the company's made it that way. But that's been an ongoing problem. Now, it's a problem they like to have, where they have that one star of everybody else. But who is there really that's trying to go ahead above and beyond what even Roman Reigns, the Usos attachment to it, the Solo Sikoa attachment to it, anybody? I mean, there are stars that have been made on the babyface side. Like, let's put that point across. If it were Vince McMahon, we would not have the level of babyfaces we have right now in Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn, Cody Rhodes. Like, I will say that. It's a bigger difference. And then even with, you know, secondary, with Rey Mysterio, you know, having to go up against, you know, with dealing with the LWO going after Judgment Day and all that set up. Like, we have actually have some pretty strong, defined baby faces right now that are not weak and not stupid. That's good. And there's still some that could be doing better, but there's reasons why. Like a couple of names that have not really made it up to the forefront are Matt Riddle. I mean, his issues going back did not help. And LA Knight is just not, he's just not welcome to the party. He might be getting himself over in somewhat to the crowds. He might be starting to become a crowd pleaser, but is the company really going to get over on him? See, and people have been talking about that. I've been seeing that on my TikTok feed as of late. We're going to talk about that. That's all coming up. But let's take a few minutes to talk about the Iron Sheik. 81 years old, passes away today. Born Khosrow Vaziri, drew on his Iranian heritage to create a caricature of a Middle Eastern villain, becoming one of the most memorable heels in wrestling history. The Iron Sheik goes back to when I first started watching wrestling. Primetime Wrestling 1993. And watching the clips of Hulk Hogan beating the Iron Sheik to win the WWF World Heavyweight Championship. His managers Paige and John Magen confirmed the death. No word of the cause. And he wore a thick mustache, boots with curled toes, and a kafia, the Middle Eastern headscarves, which are generally not worn in Iran. I'm taking a story from the New York Times that is giving tribute to him. And he came in because of the Iranian hostage crisis and created this character out as a result of it. And a wonderful move. Signature move is the camel clutch. 1983, the Iron Sheik beat Bob Backlund to win the WWF Championship, but it was a month-long time that he actually had the belt. December 83, he won the belt. January 23rd, 1984, when Hulk Hogan became Hulkamania. Sold-out crowd, Madison Square Garden, big match. And the Sheik would always stay in character and always talk about, always pissing on Hulk Hogan, saying Hulk Hogan, only thing he had was luck. I had one bad night. I lost my belt. And then we got into the Iraq War, and it would also be a continue on where Iron Sheik was still be around. And the Sheik sometimes feared for his safety. He was so feared because he was so hated, as a matter of fact. Born Hossein Khosrow Ali Vaziri, born in Damgan, 200 miles east of Tehran, Iran. Birth date is March 15th, 1942 on his passport. Family moved to Tehran, opened the wrestling gym where some of Iran's foremost wrestlers trained, became a talented wrestler, became a bodyguard for the family for the Shah of Iran, won Olympic gold medal over... that's what it was. After the Olympic gold medal running wrestler Gulamirza Takti died under mysterious circumstances, Vaziri left Iran for the United States, settled in Minneapolis. Worked with Vern Gagne in the AWA, and the idea for the Iron Sheik came from Vern's wife, Mary. And Vaziri had other versions of the character that came out over the years. He married Carol Peterson in 1975 and was married throughout. Amazing. As long as I lived, he was married. He did use drugs, drank heavily. Him and Hacksaw Jim Duggan in 1987 were arrested on the New Jersey Turnpike after police officers found cocaine and marijuana in their car. But he did get himself, had substance abuse for a long time, but has been able to stay off of drugs, except for the occasional beer. 2005, he was inducted to the WWE Hall of Fame. And then we all know that he got really popular in the 2000s because he was appearing on the Howard Stern Show, ranting about different wrestlers, threatening to sodomize rivals like Hogan, using homophobic slurs to describe the Ultimate Warrior, and his diatribes appearing on social media, profanity-laced messages in all capital letters on his Twitter account that has nearly 650,000 followers. A recent one just said Hogan presided by an expletive. The thing is that, Iron Sheik, you can talk about him and his tag team partner, Nikolai Volkov, and the run he had, such a synonymous with the rock and wrestling era of the WWF. And always remembered, like, what a detailed character What a good heel. One of a kind. One of a kind. The guy was great in the ring. He was great to watch. Was he the best wrestler in the world? Probably not. But you know what? The character. As a character, fantastic. Fantastic. So I'm obviously going to do a tribute to him on SmackDown probably on Friday night. No doubt about that. So, Godspeed to Iron Sheik. Thank you for all the years of great wrestling and great entertainment. So let's get into the Bloodline. Let's get into the WWE, right? And all the changes that are going on with that. So, the real talk was the segment on SmackDown. By the way, 2.6 million viewers for SmackDown Friday night with a big audience watching at the end. The 1,000-day celebration of Roman Reigns as the Universal Champion. Everybody wants to go and talk about the belt. The new belt that was unveiled for him to wear. Whatever. I know everybody has some prestige about what the belt looks like. And it's not, I don't care. That pales in comparison to what they actually had as the story came on. I mean, even looking at, on TikTok, there was a clip about the biggest pops by the crowd since 2021. And the first one they had in the top 10, at number 10, was when Sami Zayn turned on Roman Reigns. And by the way, that crowd lost it. Lost it at Royal Rumble. That was incredibly loud. Wild. That should have been number 1. But this time around, Solo Sikoa attacking his brother Jimmy. 40 million views across social media and YouTube. The most socially watched segment of 2023, according to WWE. It's great stuff. Let me tell you, they are building. Now we got Usos probably going against Roman and Solo, which I said was probably going to happen after Night of Champions, the way they set it up. Wow. So good. By the way, with a commercial break in the middle of the two segments at the end. 20-minute segment with a commercial break. I don't remember the last time I actually sat through a commercial break to wait for this. I was like, damn, you got me. You got me. Now I'm definitely waiting around. I'm not skipping the commercial. I'm here. And they just did it at the right time. Usos show up, and then we get all the good stuff. Rikishi writes on Twitter, Bloodline is good for business because numbers don't lie. The universe has spoken. Jey Uso is expected to choose his allegiance between Jimmy or the rest of the Roman Reigns-led Bloodline, which is what they were kind of setting up an ultimatum that Paul Heyman issued to Jey on Raw, making it clear that Jey has to pick a side or suffer the same fate as his twin. Received the smoke and spike from Sikoa for refusing to acknowledge the tribal chief. And if Jey were to cross Reigns and Sikoa, fans would believe they would be setting up an Usos versus Reigns and Sikoa tag team for Money in the Bank in London. Reigns is reportedly scheduled to wrestle at Money in the Bank and SummerSlam, but not to mention appear at several televised events, meaning fans are almost guaranteed to be having a steady progression of the Bloodline saga over the summer. That's what people care about. So the rest of the roster, hey, pony up. What do you got? What do you got to show me? Let's go. Who else is stepping up to do anything? Listen, okay, yeah, sure. The storylines are being taken by the creative, and they're running with it because they're going so long with it. But that storyline, nobody is giving us anything close. Nobody's giving us anything close. You tell me what to do. What do you do to fix that problem? Let's go into the shows. Like, what do we get on Raw that would have made me really just say, okay, what is comparable to this? Well, first of all, Raw ratings went back up a little bit. 1.828 million viewers. Didn't have any NBA playoffs to deal with, right? Because it was on Sunday night. 18 to 49 demo was up. And highest total viewership since March 27th. Highest key demo rating since May 15th. So actually, yeah. So Show's not doing too bad for what. This week, hour 1, 1.827 million, 1.89 million, hour 2, 1.75, hour 3. And you knew they stayed around good because they had a World Heavyweight title match to close out the night with Seth Rollins over Damian Priest. Okay, well, let's talk about what they did to make the ratings do pretty well for that night. So first off, Seth Rollins and Damian Priest, they set up the match first. We get that. And Becky Lynch qualifies for Money in the Bank. Sonya Deville looked fine out there. And they just set up a match just to set up a match. Basically filler. We get the Insta match. I mean, some people liked it. I don't care for that because they're not going to just give us a match with Gunther and Kevin Owens and say it's going to be for the Intercontinental title. But if I'm right, I think they didn't make it for the title. It's just a non-title match. And then Gunther wins. And Gunther cheats to win. And now Matt Riddle wants to delve into this as well. And so him and Kaiser go after each other. And here we go. And so now we're going to get a match where Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler take on the NXT Tag Team Champions and finish them off. The NXT stars don't have the pull. They don't have anything going for them to really go. Listen, it's just... Okay, Caden Carter Katana chants. They put a little preview up about them leading into the match. Doesn't matter. Shinsuke and Ricochet doesn't matter to me. I mean, I really just can miss stuff, and it doesn't make a difference. I mean, really, Raw to me, watch the top of 8, watch the top of 9 o'clock, watch the top of 10 o'clock, and then catch the main event. It's pretty predictable what you're watching now. There's nothing predictable or anything that's going to go unpredictable or off the wall that's going to happen. And honestly, the clips you're going to see afterwards, like either on TikTok or wherever, I can see some of the choice moments that I would miss if I would have watched the whole damn match. They're good matches, but they don't matter. Because the stars they have that are in these matches. We're talking about Sonya Deville, who's been used over and over for various different things, but cannot be taken for anything seriously as a championship, or anything more important than that. Gunther doesn't have an opponent, and so they put him and Kevin Owens together, and Riddle's part of that, and, Kevin and Sami are just having their own thing right now, and no other opponents for them at the moment, because they're also too big for what they have right now. Who do you have right now that you can set up a storyline with to go? What, is it going to be Imperium going after Owens and Zayn for the tag titles? Does anybody think that Zayn and Owens are going to lose those belts? No. But there's nobody set up for that. And nobody set up for Gunther either, because he's been built really strong. But then we're going to let Gunther just drop the belt on a TV show. Nothing has happened on a TV show that's going to be really significant where you're going to have some major thing happen. Something newsworthy on the TV shows. Except for the build-up we might see with either Bloodline or other things. Now, the one that did stand out that I saw was seeing Cody on Miz TV. Right? So now they're setting up where Dominic and Rhea Ripley come out to confront Cody. And Dominic paintbrushes Cody. So we got that to set up. Okay. And Cody knocks the Miz out with his cast. Okay. So you got that too. And of course we then set up later for the match with Priest and Rollins, which was good. But didn't anybody think Rollins was going to lose? No. No, not at all. So give me something that's going to really stand out more than that. I don't see it. That's what I'm waiting for, but I don't see that yet. Maybe someday, but like right now, Raw is going to give you a taste of wrestling, but nothing predictable. Everything's predictable. Everything's pretty formulaic. You got a lot of mid-carders that maybe some people will care about, but the mid-card is so removed. Like, you know how they always talk about parity? Well, there isn't. Like, there's so many teams out there. There's so many stars they have now that are irrelevant because of how badly they've been used, number one. And second, they don't want to have anybody even come close to getting into the virality that the Bloodline storyline has. We're basically at NWO level. Because anything else that was outside of NWO didn't really matter. Didn't really matter. And trust me, the Attitude Era also had its own share of certain things as well. Just didn't matter either. But what are you going to do? You really don't have much to say about it. But, you know, it is what it is. And as I said, aside from SmackDown and the part that they had for the celebration for Roman Reigns, everything else, LA Knight qualifies for Money in the Bank. Lacey Evans gets ribbed on for looking like Sergeant Slaughter, the female version. They should just give up on her. Like, if they really are not going to take the time to really do anything with Lacey Evans, they have ruined this character. But this is normal for this country. It's normal for this company to do that. Company. Normal for this company to do that. Austin Theory, still is strong. They've kept him strong, you know. I'm not going to care about Brawling Brutes against Austin Theory and Pretty Deadly together. That doesn't sound right. I'm not going to get into Elton and Kit. This is not a team that's going to go and compete with Kevin or Sammy or be any World Tag Team Champions of my status. What? They're going to go frolic around with what? The Street Profits and you know, the Brawling Brutes. I'm like, do I really care? Or the OC? Do I really care? Or Hit Row? Do I really care? My point is that, you know, I don't have the attention span like I used to watch Raw and say, okay, there's a bunch of stuff I'm going to catch on here that's going to be really important. Listen, there's a lot of wrestling to watch. But even now to watch it in the background, not so much. Because it used to be better for me like that, but you know what? I know that the company's not putting that much care into it. They're filling time. The mid-card is very much filling time. Because I don't see any of these stars, except for a couple, that I see in an upward direction that I could see them in a couple of years going to be something someday. Shinsuke and Ricochet, no. Sonya Deville, no. Brawling Brutes, I don't know. I don't know if Butcher, Ridge Holland have something to go for them going forward. Dominic Aria, the future. I see that. They're now. They're popular. The rest of the LWO, if not for Rey Mysterio, no. I don't see them going farther either. Johnny Gargano's of the world, no. Like, there's a lot that don't really have an upside, that I don't see as future world champions or anything with a future upside where they're going to be given like a push, really big push coming up. I don't. And maybe because they have enough baby faces and heels on both rosters that are main eventers, they're not going to have any room for anybody else anytime soon. Because they've done a good job of not having a lot of older stars that are clouding up. Like, they got a lot of people in their prime right now. With everything that's going with the Bloodline, with Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn, Cody Rhodes, with Matt Riddle, with Gunther, with Austin Theory, with Rhea Ripley, with Asuka, Bianca Belair gets back up there again. That's a lot of talent that's around for a long time. And there's no room. The mid-card, like, who's got the come up? Who's the younger stars that are going to make their way up and really become something? Because what I see is a lot of stars that are good. They're good hands, but they're not moving forward anymore. New Day? No. DOC? No. AJ Styles, he's had his moment. Like, I look and I say to myself, what else is there? Grayson Waller. I still don't feel what the benefit of him, what his NXT persona is going to evolve into. Because it has to evolve. He's one-dimensional. One-dimensional. And then let's talk about LA Knight. Okay. He's going to be held back. He's not going to get to move forward. There's something about this company where they just never cared about this guy. They had him there before. They let him go. He comes back. I don't know if Triple H has a thing for him, but like really, even the LA Knight character, bring him in NXT. They put a new coat of paint on Eli Drake. Now, people want to go ahead and complain about Eli Drake and his Impact Wrestling run. You know, I don't think I feel the same way about that. I don't. I mean, I want to take that point. He's 40 years old, by the way. He's been around the company for a while. Sean Ricker, right? And let's just go back to what he's already done so far. Okay. Impact Wrestling, he was there in 2015. And at the time, he did win the Global Championship. That was the one they changed from the Legends title, right? He had the King of the Mountain title. He was Impact World Tag Team Champions with Scott Steiner. He also won the Feast or Fire briefcase. And in NWA, he was Tag Team Champions with James Storm for the NWA World Tag Team titles. And in NWA, Eli Drake in 2019 was the deal. And let me tell you what's going on here. Why does everybody forget and think one thing, LA Knight should be the LA Knight character of NXT? Well, no. And let me just put it to like this too. The Max Dupree character, Maximum Male Models, was it really that bad of a character? Like, I get it. You don't like him changing his persona. I was a little bit off about it. But you know what? I was willing to give it a chance because for the sake of him working in the company on the main roster and not just doing what's kind of been said, it's like a little bit of Stone Cold and The Rock work together. Like, the thing is, in NWA, he cut old school promos. Like, sitting behind that old desk with David Marquez, he was cutting old school promos. The yeah thing, okay. I mean, it's meant to get the crowd to go and do something with him. But I don't feel anything much different about him. It's just a matter of the Eli Drake character was not a character that the company wanted. But the guy had great charisma, and I thought we could repackage him. And I'll tell you, him with Sophia, whatever her name is, Maxine Dupree, right? Honestly, I thought that was, they can make that work. I mean, he wasn't one of the models. And I think something can be said about, like, when he put this on, the talent agent looked good in the suits. He was all dressed up. I mean, I thought you could get something out of him. Like, the thing is, I don't think it was the worst character in the world. This was not, I mean, I don't think it was as bad as some other characters have been. Like, what they gave him was not the worst thing in the world. But he rejected it. It was rejected. And if you want to go and just say, oh, well, Eli Drake's going to do the same thing. Well, no, it's not going to work. And he was around for a long time. Remember that. NWA Championship Wrestling from Hollywood. Was there for a couple of years. He already ran the WWE before. 2013, 2014. And he came into the company, worked a new ring name, Slate Randall. Yeah, bad, horrible name. Didn't work for him either. And he was released from his contract. I don't know if he was just ever going to be like at a point where he's going to really be anything special. But I thought what they did with him in Impact Wrestling was a pretty good run. I remember when they put him together with Drew Galloway and put that team together. And, you know, The Rising. And I thought it wasn't that bad. Yeah. Drew Galloway and Micah. Right. Oh, yeah, Tangaloa. I forgot about that. And, you know, him and Galloway got into matches, no DQ, Bound for Glory, when he first got in there, 2015. And they were doing a lot of things where they were just kind of moving along. You know, and it was Impact Wrestling when they were still on a pretty decent channel. They were on Pop TV, remember? King of the Mountain title, Feast or Fired. So they never got him as the number one. You know, was never the world champion. Oh, still a lot of people that were ahead of him of the pecking order. And then he got to be on his own, and put him along with Tyrus, and that was the real run of him. But I think his best work was Impact Wrestling, not in WWE right now. I never really cared about any storylines he's been put in at all. Like the Cameron Grimes storyline for the $1 Million belt. I didn't care. I just didn't care. I don't know what NXT crowds, what they care about so much about this. I'll admit, the one thing that was kind of interesting to me, you know, the NXT, they still like to bring some of the veterans over. Yeah, Baron Corbin's doing nothing, so they took him down there. Good. They need to do something like that. The folks down there need some other people to work with. Baron Corbin and Carmelo Hayes, yeah, that works. You might as well take some of these stars you're just not using at all and move them down there. Personally, Karrion Kross needs to go back down there. There's some stars who need to go back out and maybe do something with the build up. Like, where's the developmental part? Like, they're developing some stars down there. I'll tell you, of what I see, I never thought Cora Jade was going to be anything special. You know, I think Tiffany Stratton's has got a jet propeller on her back. She's going to rocket to the moon. I think at some point she's going to move up. She's going to be what Mandy Rose was supposed to be. I really feel like that's it. If Mandy Rose has moved up there, which was unfortunate, because if everything would have worked out, Mandy Rose and Toxic Attraction should have been up on this roster by now and killing it. Would have been actually interesting in that women's division. Really make a change around. Mandy Rose against Bianca Belair. That would have been really good. We don't got that. And Tiffany Stratton's on her way up. The Barbie doll, man, she's going to get up there. There's no doubt about it. It's just a matter of time, but she's going to move up there pretty quick. There's pretty soon for her. Meanwhile, these other stars that are around for the 2019 phase of NXT, the same ones I've talked about, that black and gold, you know, the diehard, no. Not much there to be said. But like I said, there's just these mid-carders they have on some of these points, and they just don't really give me any kind of anything to talk about. It's just not there. It sucks. I mean, I could try to give some kind of care about NXT, or what they're doing with NXT or whatever it is, but it's just not happening right now. And I don't know what else to think. But I'm trying, man. I'm trying. NXT, you got a NXT Women's title on the Battle Royal contendership. And I look at the names they got on here. Mustafa Ali going after Joe Gacy. Like, they're kind of desperate right now. Joe Gacy's been a non-factor. The Colt character, it's been tired and done. It's not working here. Let me tell you, Joe Gacy is a poor man's Sami Callihan. If you wanted somebody to go ahead and, build a cult, Sami Callihan's the guy. I'm just telling you, that's what it is. And you can tell me if I'm wrong. But that's how I feel it is. Bottom line. Diamond Mine? No. Not much there to me either. And like even with Joe Gacy and the Dyad, no. Ilya Dragunov looking like he's 5 foot, less than 5 foot, up against Baron Corbin, confronting him in the ring. I mean, he is a tough son-bitch, but it's that size thing. It's like, okay, small guy being tough guy. I mean, there's something that's just the believability factor. Like, I know he's got good matches. I know he beat Donovan Dijakovic, right? I get it. So they're having to bring some veterans to bring up here to do something with. Baron Corbin did come out with a good promo to start off the night. I did see that. I don't care about, don't care about Chase U. I just don't. I mean, people can go ahead and say what they want about it, but like, seriously, for me, Andre Chase? No. It's a nice, cute little gimmick, but this is for NXT. It's not going to be built up, and it will not pass the litmus test in the main roster. A lot of these gimmicks will not. If you go through the NXT setup that they got, okay, Dyad, no. Like if they were going to have, they could have had Bray Wyatt, who's already been the cult leader, and to go back to this here, and Joe Gacy's character has already been changed around like 4 or 5 times. It's just not working. Tony D'Angelo? I don't know either. The Mafioso? What a dated, Sopranos was 20 years ago. But that doesn't work either. Von Wagner? I don't know. They're not using him much at all anyway. He's just been kind of like lost in the mix. Like, does that guy even wrestle on pay-per-views? No. I mean, he's a throwback, but they don't care. They put him with Robert Stone. It's just not doing much. Dana Brooke entered into the Battle Royal for the women's title. Okay. And then Carmelo Hayes has Trick Williams go in front to face on Baron Corbin, and Corbin wins. The Heritage Cup, just don't care. You bring back Dabba-Kato, and now Scripps, the former Reggie. Like, would I want to go to watch this at all? Like, would I even pay attention to any of this? No, not really. And Thea Hale from Chase U is the one that's going to go after Tiffany Stratton now. Meanwhile, you had Roxanne Perez, Gigi Dolan, JC Jane that were in this match that could have also been a part of this, and Cora Jade. But they went with Thea Hale as the next person to go ahead and give that contendership to. If there's anything to go and build off of her. Well, and Braun Breaker challenging Seth Rollins to come to NXT and put the World Heavyweight title on the line. Why? Just move on the roster and see what he does. Braun Breaker. They're keeping him on NXT for a reason. He's not ready for prime time. Listen, the guy's got the build, he's got the look, he's got all of it. But they've not done a good job with him as NXT champion, in my opinion. He's one-dimensional as well. I don't know what it is about the development of these characters in the mid-card. For any of these NXT stars that when you're going to put them on the way up, I don't know, man. I don't see where there's a good upward motion or upward trajectory for some of these stars. You can see potential in some, but really, like I said, at the moment, like I said, for me, on the women's side, for NXT, Roxanne Perez, Tiffany Stratton, they have the upward side. They have the upward motion. They have great potential to move up. And they should do well if they get the chance to move up. I'm not so much invested in Braun Breaker. I mean, no, not at the moment. I'm still waiting. Maybe at some point. But it's really like the bloodline and almost everything else is irrelevant. Almost everything else. So you're going to have Seth Rollins as World Heavyweight Champion step down to take on Braun Breaker in Orlando. When Braun Breaker should be going to Raw. And set up a storyline with him. If that's what you're going to do, it's a fresh story, sure. Like, I want Braun Breaker with a chip on his shoulder. I don't want him bringing that World Heavyweight title down to NXT. I don't want that. At this moment, Judgment Day, they do a lot of things right with that. And the Bloodline, they're getting everything right with that. They absolutely got a lot going on right. And it is the one storyline we have that, at least they have it kind of spread across. It's the one that matters. And then there have been some stars that have benefited from that. Cody, Kevin and Sami. I mean, they did. Helped a lot. That's a lot of good main eventers right there. Feeling like main eventers, too. So, that mid-card, the ones that have not been tainted, the ones that have not been used and abused and poorly developed and poorly booked, you have to look to NXT to see if there's anybody to bring on up. And they've brought some names up. They're not going to cut it. They're not. I'm of the opinion that, and look, when I look at some of the names they have, are they going to matter if they go somewhere else? Let me tell you like that. That's a good litmus test. We look at Grayson Waller. Okay, let me look at some of the names we already had. Okay, Ricochet. That guy could go back to the independents and work anywhere. Ricochet has more than enough to work in a lot of different places. Like if you want to go back to, because AEW, you can look at Ricochet. Or you can look at him in Ring of Honor, actually. Like I can see Tony Khan bring him into Ring of Honor if there was ever Ricochet not being there. When I think about Grayson Waller, I don't know. Like there's a thing where there's certain WWE stars that have just the acumen, they have that integrity, where they're not so tainted by the watering down that the company puts them through. LA Knight going back as Eli Drake in Impact Wrestling, sure. Or back to NWA. But I mean, really, if you think about it, Johnny Gargano, yeah, you could go back to, like, I think even Gargano, I don't know if you would get picked up by an Impact Wrestling or, I don't know. Would Court Bauer or Billy Corgan want him if he was let go? Like, Triple H has his people. But Triple H also has people that we keep hearing about he's associated with that you might like them, but they're not going to draw you with the real money. They can't replace the bloodline. They're not going to replace the bloodline at some point down the line. It's not. I think everything's going to be set up where whenever Roman's going to go to Hollywood, Cody will be the one to be crowned eventually. Because Cody said he'll be the next big star. I believe that. So they got one bona fide heel as a champion, and Cody is a bona fide face. Seth Rollins is right there on the cusp with... the thing is, Seth Rollins is given the World Heavyweight title because he's the most legitimate. And the truth is, the World Heavyweight title, we don't need to be seeing that hot potatoed at all. Seth needs to hold on to that belt. Let him take all comers. Like, he should be defending that belt like Orange Cassidy defends the international title every week, or almost every week. Why not? That's where I see things. Let's get through a few other things to go ahead and wrap things up here. So, a couple of things when it comes to AEW and what they did on Dynamite tonight. Excellent work. I enjoy it. Like, what they did tonight was quite good with MJF confronted with his new opponent now and a new feud to go after in Adam Cole. Down the line, Adam Cole was going to have to be in a world title feud somewhere, somehow. This was right. This was the right thing to do. You give us the Jericho Cole feud that we had, and Cole wins. And now moving on into this match here. Good stuff. Orange Cassidy Sports Strickland, great match to start off. Chris Statlander, you just went waiting to set things up where Taya Valkyrie will come back in and they'll have another feud for the TBS title. And then I look and I say, okay, we got quite a good back and forth promo. They decided to go CM Punk, MJF again, where we got a couple of good haymaker promos out of Adam Cole and MJF. MJF saying nobody's on the level of the devil. MJF saying watching Ring of Honor was a fan of Adam Cole. Adam Cole is great in Ring of Honor. Don't ever downplay that. I like this Ring of Honor work than I did at NXT. Because I think Adam Cole is just kind of being used. And I think that Adam Cole would have never been used right on the main roster. He's where he's supposed to be in AEW. I've always believed that. Adam Cole, I think, listen, Shawn Michaels, whoever, yeah, they liked him. But you know what? They weren't going to book him right. And even if Triple H had the pencil, I think they would have booked him wrong. I really do. And MJF, they'd book him wrong as well. They're just not the kind of guys. So Adam Cole fits right here where he's at with MJF. And MJF, as the heel, does a great job of building. He did the whole Ric Flair thing, man. Building up his opponent. Making him sound like $1 million. I love that MJF does that. It's so old school. It's so important. You need to build up your opponent. Like Adam Cole has the credibility. He has the credentials. But this right here really helped out. So he says Adam Cole comes with a smaller physique than we used to have. And Vince McMahon told Cole he couldn't see him as a top guy, and now he's standing in the ring with him, and he agrees with Vince. And MJF gets hit back by being told that he probably couldn't pass a drug test right now because he's hitting the roids. Oh, boy. Good stuff overall. But MJF, Adam Cole got under his skin and set things up. So I think MJF, Adam Cole, we could see that as soon as like All in London or All Out. I think that's where we set him up. Good stuff. I do like Takeshita here with Don Callis. I do like it. And I'm wondering if Takeshita is going to be on his own with Don Callis and there's no alignment with the Blackpool Combat Club. I guess it's not. So Takeshita is now set alone with Don Callis. How's that going to work? Ooh, that's going to be good. By the way, 2 great matches set up for Forbidden Door. You got dream matches coming up. Well, what have been New Japan Wrestle Kingdom matches? We're getting them here. Bryan Danielson and Kazuchika Okada, the fucking Rainmaker. Wow. I didn't know we were going to get this match, but you know what? I'm giddy about that. Bryan Danielson and Kazuchika Okada, and another match with Ospreay and Kenny Omega. That's a doubleheader. That's a double main event. That's really great for Toronto coming up on the 25th of June. Good stuff. And Chris Statlander over Anna Jay set that up. And then we had Ricky Starks and Jay White and the whole Bullet Club thing, which is still a pretty good storyline to go into. Why not? It works. I'm looking at a story right now that I've heard, that I just saw right now, which is very interesting. So, Paul Heyman went on Rick Rubin's Tetragrammaton podcast. This story came out earlier today, but I didn't get a chance to catch this until now. But here's what he said about being paired with Roman Reigns in 2020. And here's what he said about it. When Brock Lesnar's contract came due, we were in the middle of the pandemic, and it doesn't make sense for WWE to do what they had done every year, which is, yeah, we know this is your final year, but if you consider, we're going to throw more money at you. Give us another year of this. This was a year that wasn't going to happen. There was no way to get a return on the investment. Brock went back to Saskatchewan, and in his mind, that was the end. It was done. And he was still there as executive director. Roman Reigns had taken time off with a leukemia condition. And the feud rivalry story over Baron Corbin over dog food and the infamous suffering succotash promo had weighed on him, where enough to he said, I have had enough. I've reached a cap. I can't go any further. As the big dog, I've peaked as an athlete. I haven't peaked as a performer. I've barely scratched the surface. I have so much more to offer, and since I'm taking time off, I'm not coming back as the same person. This is where I make my move. Where I do for me what Lesnar did for himself when he conquered his streak. Something has to be my defining moment that propel forward from there. 4 WrestleMania events to his credit, a run on top since 2015. And then he says, Vince removes me as executive director in June 2020. Still had a bunch of months left on my contract. I was going to ride it out, see where we go from there. Limited options in my agreement as to whom the WWE could put me with. And I wrote in that we had reached a point with being Brock Lesnar's advocate that anybody else you put me with could either instantly make them a star or water me down or ultimately hurting the other person. So one of the few names on the list was Roman Reigns. Another was Brock Lesnar, obviously. Another was Ronda Rousey. But Ronda was having a baby. Brock wasn't coming back with Saudi being down. So Vince calls me in the middle of August and says, we're going to take you back into television. And he says, he's going to make me a commentator and Jim Ross isn't here. And he says, I'm going to put you with somebody. I'm thinking, as he read my contract. But he says, well, Vince, the options are kind of limited in that. I'm trying to tiptoe in this delicate situation. And then he says, I'm envisioning Roman Reigns with Paul Heyman. I'm thinking, oh my God, he's going to pull the trigger on this. He would never pull it with Cena. He would have never allowed Cena to come to the dark side. And while WrestlingNews.co transcribed this, so thank you for that, folks. But yeah, Paul Heyman, Vince's idea to pair him with Roman Reigns. By the way, further confirming the fact that Vince is a mad genius. Vince takes credit, in part, of festering the storyline for the Bloodline. For this 1,000-day reign as champion. 1,000 plus. Roman Reigns being paired with Paul Heyman and Roman Reigns turning heel. This is why we have the Bloodline storyline. This is why we were thankful and grateful for this. Okay? We must say that. We must make that point. By the way, congratulations to Mike Knox and Trevor Murdoch winning the Crockett Cup this weekend. I did not catch that, but just wanted to make that point. This weekend, we got Against All Odds, Impact Wrestling, and they're doing an interesting match for the Impact World title, a number one contenders match, 8-4-1. Starts off as an 8-man tag team match, and the winning team competes in a 4-way match against each other for the number one contendership. And so it's Bully Ray, Jonathan Gresham, Heath, and Nick Aldis, Moose, Mike Bailey, Rich Swann, and PCO. They're all in this match. And if I'm right, yes, I think it's Bully Ray, Jonathan Gresham, Heath, and Nick Aldis against Moose, Mike Bailey, Rich Swann, and PCO. Something like that, I forget. But it's heels versus faces. And then you have a 4-way match to set up. So out of this match, I expect Nick Aldis to be the number one contender for the Impact World title. I will take Nick Aldis. And something tells me that Bully Ray is going to try to get in the middle of that. Somewhere, somehow, I don't know. Trey Miguel against Chris Sabin, X Division title. I'll take Trey Miguel. ABC versus the Good Hands for the Impact World Tag Team titles. ABC will win. Digital Media Championship, Joe Henry versus Dirty Dango. Just don't care about this match, but I'll take Joe Henry to win. Masha Slamovich and Killer Kelly in a dog collar match. I will take Masha for the win. And Trinity will team with Deonna Purrazzo against Giselle Shaw and Savannah Evans, so the knockout title will not be defended. I'll take Trinity and Deonna. Frankie Kazarian versus Eddie Edwards. I will take Eddie Edwards for the win. And OVE returning once again. Wow. OVE is back. Yes, Jake Christ is back. He is sober right now. That's great to hear. Madman Fulton is back. Awesome. 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 Ohio versus everybody. Versus the Design. I like this. Let's keep this feud going. That's good stuff. Impact Wrestling is getting better. Like, I think they got some really good things right now in terms of stars. I like the freshness of having Nick Aldis now coming into the company back once again. Trinity being part of this. Good stuff. A lot of that's going on. I love it. I love it a lot. I want to wrap things up and talk about Never Say Never. MLW putting a pay-per-view coming up July 8th, 2300 Arena in Philadelphia. It's their 5th Never Say Never. So glad to finally see that we're going to get this set up. That we're going to finally get a chance to go ahead and have another pay-per-view once again with MLW. Thank goodness for that. It's so great to hear. So we got 7 matches already scheduled so far. Microman and the main event, G Lion and Midas Black. It's going to be 6-man tag trios match against Jesus Rodriguez and the FBI. Good stuff. Yes, Jesus Rodriguez is the former Ricardo Rodriguez that worked and was the announcer for Alberto Del Rio. So yes, those guys in a match. That's going to be fun. O'Shea Edwards will be in action, and the return of Timothy Thatcher back to the company after his run at NXT. Great. Samoa SWAT team, Lance Anoa'i and Juicy Finale against The Calling, Akira and Ricky Shane Page. The Calling. I have not talked about that. The Calling and Raven coming in with his own faction again. It's a different feel. You know, the Flock. And Raven coming back to do another faction. I dig it. I dig it. I do like seeing Raven here in the role here and not being a part of the wrestling. I like him here and the role here as being, you know, the cult leader. I do like The Calling. That's a good start. I like that. Ichiban against TJ Crawford. Gene Snitsky will also be in action. But the main event of that night will be Alexander Hammerstone putting up his MLW World Heavyweight title against Alex Kane of the Boom Fight Club. Good stuff. So Hammerstone right now, currently, let me look right now at where he's at. I haven't looked at how long his run as a champion is, but he's held that belt for a while. $614 days so far. Won at Fightland in October 2021. Wow, it's been a while. Good stuff. Do not underestimate Court Bauer in Major League Wrestling. I don't say it enough, but MLW does keep me interested with the number of stars they have over there when you look at what they got in their roster. All right. Jacob Fatu and Alexander Hammerstone are studs. Alex Kane has grown on me, and he's gotten good. He's gotten really good. I like him. Like him a lot. And that's some pretty good, a pretty good setup right there so far. And by the way, Taya Valkyrie also still in MLW and dealing with, EXO. I forget her name now. I got to go look it up. Wait a minute. What's her name? Because she's also expected to probably have a match. I'm imagining they're going to have a match over in MLW at some point. Delmi EXO. There we go. That's who it is. So we'll see what happens there. Other than that, that's the show for tonight. Thank you all for listening to the program. Make sure if you haven't done so, please, please, please rate and review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. But you can also find the show over at Google Podcasts and Amazon Music, all right there for you. And in the meantime, really appreciate all of you listening to the program, catching it as you always do every week. Really enjoying it. And we'll talk about Against All Odds next week on the program. And we'll come back for another Wrestling Goes Over podcast. Because wrestling needs us.